Hello there, and welcome to Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep on PS4 Remaster. This is the final mixed version of the game, and we are playing Terra Level 1 90%. So, Terra Level 1 has never been at any charity marathon before because of the sheer difficulty of the run. In fact, last GDQ when we had a bid war for Birth by Sleep, Terra only offered beginner. Again, because of difficulty of the run. Since then, we have found a new routes. This route is completely different than what's been done for a long time. We've got the world record down a couple minutes, and things look a bit more consistent now. So, first fight of the game is orbs. Orbs are the definition of inconsistent. The way these guys work is they just like to fly around all over the place, which is not good for us. If you hit them twice with an air combo, they usually run away. They can also run away just if they feel like. We're trying to knock them into each other as much as possible, so they'll explode like that. And that. And ideally they don't fly too far away, and we can use our shot lock to get by. This run is all about using what little resources we have and squeezing as much as we can out of it. In the bottom left-hand corner, you would have seen a lot of abilities, which are called commands. Those commands are what we rely on to get through this game quickly, as you can really abuse the fact that commands level up, and that commands can be melded together to make stronger commands. This is the menu we equipped level 1. And we use that to its full potential to just get as many powerful abilities as quickly as we possibly can, which in this category is very important because we don't have a lot and we squeeze as much out of what we can. So this first force fight, you'll see we go into Ventus D-Link. We are looking for a level up for both Ventus and Aqua's D-Link. D-Links are essentially replacements for summons, and their level up are these flowers right here that pop out completely randomly, which is kind of obnoxious, but what can you do? And if you're going for world record times, you pretty much reset here until you get both of those D-Links, both the Ventus and Ven D-Links. If you're not going for world record in a no reset environment, you need the Ventus D-Link level to move on. The odds of not getting it in that fight are very rare, and if you don't, you can farm some mobs up ahead and it won't lose too much time typically. There are plenty of backups for if you don't have the Aqua D-Link, you can go by just fine without it. It just loses a lot of time to record, hence why you need both of them if you're going for that time, and hence the split name. We grabbed the Blizzard chest, we grabbed the Potion chest, we're grabbing a Zero Gravity chest now, and we're pretty much grabbing every chest in our way. Most of these are just to sell them. The Zero Gravity chest is going to be used for melding later. We're really just trying to quickly make our way over to Aurora's bedchamber. This is the room we'd grind for Ven D-Link if we had to. We'd also have to kill a Flood if we didn't have enough D-Link gauge to use it. We also grabbed a Sleep in our way, that's purely for money. The money route in this game is really tight. At the beginning of the game, it's not a big deal. You're usually fine. By the end of the game, there's a bit of RNG that goes into it, but it doesn't lose a lot of time. This cutscene is unskippable for some reason. I think because the intros into fights typically are. This is why we need Ven's D-Link right away, because we're going to use it here. If you step forward and use it, he will always do this swinging attack to open up. And Ven's D-Link with the level up has a passive ability where Terra can attack really quickly. and we are using that to just wail on this guy until we hit this HP barrier, where he'll do the screaming thing, and he'll charge us. We want him to charge us like that, so he'll do this move. He can also just run, swerve a long way around you, and jump up and down. That's a lot slower if he does that, but it's not a big deal. It's very easy to deal with. But that's the whole fight. Is we just go into Ven and murder him as quickly as we can. D-Links are very, very useful in this run, especially Aquas. We use Aquas a lot, assuming we can get the levels. If we don't, we make do without them. We also use D-Links for a lot of movement abilities and for just being plain broken. This movement tech is actually really neat. The shot lock for Terra actually has Terra moving to wherever he shot locks. Yeah, it's kind of him rushing at the enemy. Since you can lock on to those pots because you hit them and orbs explode out is the general idea. You can also just go off them to go really fast. We're also going to do a sequence break here, where we jump along this hedge, grab the wall, and sliding dash to get this Fission Firaga. You're not supposed to be able to get there until you get high jump, at least. Then we do a quick menu, equip all the stuff we just grabbed. The only thing we'll keep of that in the long run is zero gravity. The rest of it will just be sold for money. So in this fight, if we have Aqua's D-Link, we use it immediately and we start spamming Magnet Thunders. If we don't, we wail on Floods and whiff Aqua's D-Link and hope we get a level. Magnet Thunders are the lifeblood of getting through mob fights as quickly as possible. You can just see I got a D-Link level there. We are looking for Aqua to get the level 2 in this fight, so we can use Aqua level 2 in the next boss. But Magnet Thunder just allows us to take care of mobs incredibly quickly, assuming they don't hit us out of the animation, in which case you're probably dead. Level 1 is actually broken in such a way that it lets you do bonus damage based on the number of hits. And the way Magnet Thunder works is the magnet is hitting them and then the thunder is hitting them, so it does a ton of damage really quickly. We're going to make our way back, do some shot lock movement, and head over to Mirror. Do a bit sliding dash movement. If a sliding dash hits an enemy, you can slide directly afterwards. That's what you try to do. This strat for Mirror was found incredibly recently, and it's very hard to execute correctly, but it can save a bunch of time. So we're going to slide forward, hit him a couple times, Fission Fire, go into Aqua D-Link, use everything we can to just wail on him. He's going to fall down after the magnet. Slide over, hit him with Fire Strike, and Blizzard fire him if we can. This is the pattern This is a good pattern. He can do one of three things. He can either do this attack after that, he can do an attack where he shoots straight up in the air and then lunges right at you, or he can just go underground and go into one of his next phases. And when he goes into one of his next phases, the attack pattern he does is random. But we want him to do this attack, use Mind Square, set up in this exact way, get him to run into us, stagger him a bit, and then use finishers. That's a very hard setup to execute properly, because you have to set up Terra in such a way that the mirror is going to be blocked for a few seconds. And that way the lingering hitbox of the Mind Square can actually continue to hit him, even though the Mind Square had already exploded. It's actually a really interesting strat. This is where we sell all the stuff we were getting for money. Gonna get a couple fires, couple thunders, a cure, 3 magnets, and the bind. All of those are going to be melded later. We're going to equip the magnets and thunders for now. As you can see, the pace of this run is pretty brisk. There is downtime when you're going from place to place and you're sliding across everywhere, so the pacing isn't non-stop, but the fights are very, very quick, especially if you have what you need to get through them. So this fight, we use Aqua's D-Link, and we Magnet Thunder, use Mind Square if we can. Ideally, Mind Square kills this whole wave, and we can just use Thunder into the next one without going back into the D-Link. The reason I'm constantly exiting and re-entering Aqua's D-Link is so that Aqua's abilities come off cooldown. When you use them, the abilities naturally go on cooldown. When you exit Aqua's D-Link and re-enter it, the cooldown's over. So we're purposely doing that really quickly in order to just spam the magnets as fast as possible. In a marathon run, there's a pulsing chest up ahead that I would get instead of going straight into the stairs. And we have Terra's escort. Every Birth by Sleep story has escorts. This is probably the least egregious of them, where we're just going to do what we've done previously and spam Magnet Thunders. We want these guys to drop some items for us. We're looking out for a handful of things. We want a Wellspring, which they gave us in that first wave. We want some Fleetings, which that wave just gave us, and we want Pulsings. If you get a Wellspring drop, it saves 10 to 15 seconds in the run. If you don't get it, it doesn't really matter. The Pulsings you need to get once more, which you really need in order to beat the game. Wellspring gets second chance, or vice versa. So the Wellspring and Pulsings you need in order to beat the game. Pulsing also gives you Leaf Bracer if you can get a second one, which is incredibly useful. That means we can just heal whenever we want and not take damage when we do so. Second chance and once more are vital to our survival because it means we can survive on 1 hit point. So after any combo that the final bosses do to us. You'll notice that that early game in the run is not too difficult. There are some trolly parts of it, but you can get by without too many issues. Where the run really becomes maddeningly difficult is Radiant Garden onward, which is the world after this one. Here, we're just using magnets, we're just using thunders, we're getting by, we're looking for item drops, things are going pretty well. And this would be a fight where we'd read some donations and have a decent amount of downtime, because we would have already explained the reason that Magnet Thunder is broken. The only other oddity is that when I jump in the air and attack and then use a Thunder, that actually levels up the commands more than just using Magnet Thunder. This game's weird about that. Get a Soothing there. We like to get 2 Soothings if we can. One's more than enough. Get the Thunder chest here. And head over to the Music Maestro. So, there's 2 strats for Music Maestro. If you don't have Aqua D-Link level 2, then you do a Vend strat, similar to what you did to Wheelmaster. If you do have Aqua level 2, then you use Thunder Mind Square to get to Aqua's finisher as quickly as possible. And these instruments are affected by Magnet, which is pretty funny. And you use the Magnet Thunder and the Mind Square to get into Aqua's finisher, which is these balls lashing out at him, and you just spam them. The vast majority of boss fights, the strats in this run are similar to this, where there's a lot of cool cool tech going on, and the strats are not something you would think of just off the top of your head. We really use every resource that the game gives us, and we abuse any advantage we can get, because if we didn't, then every single part of this run would be hard and miserable. This would be another portion of the game for some donations. We're going to go to the Ensign's Tower for some cutscenes, but first we're going to grab a cure chest, and we're going to do a menu where we meld our first commands. Like I said, commands level up when you use them, and when they're a high enough level, you meld them together to make stronger commands. We're melding a Fire Dash, a couple Magneras, and the Cura. All of which will be melded later on in the game, and then we're equipping some more commands that will meld in the menu in the next world, along with Counter Hammer, which lets us do a counter attack after we guard, and Air Slide, which lets us dash in the air. You see, the dashes are the quickest way of movement for us. The air dash allows us to just do that after we jump, which lets us move quicker in a few areas to get to higher places quickly. But for the most part, this is just a little bit of downtime until the force fight in the next world. The nice thing about the speedrun is there is a decent amount of downtime spread throughout. You have large sections where it's go, 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 and then you have large sections where you can breathe for a bit. So it's a little slower pace than a lot of Kingdom Hearts runs. So this force fight, we're going to use our favorite thing again, Magnet Thunders, with Aqua's D-Link. We really do love this strat for mob fights, because it just lets us get rid of large groups very easily. And then we're going to hit this guy in the center, use Magnet Thunder to just draw them in, and do it again here. The interesting thing about this fight is we're looking for Fire and Bind to both level up right now, like they just did. If they level up after that wave right there, that means the vast majority of the time you can skip one wave that you would otherwise have to kill in the next room, just purely for ability levels, because the level routing is actually very tight, and every now and again you have to kill an extra wave or two just to be sure they level up. It doesn't lose that much time. Worst case scenario, you're losing probably 20-25 seconds in the entire run if every leveling thing goes wrong. And we're going to skip a few cutscenes, head over here. In this area, we're going to kill a couple waves in order to level up our Fire and Bind, and we're also going to head over here and pick up these two chests. These chests have a Fleeting Crystal, and they also have Thunder Surge. Thunder Surge is probably the best ability in the game. You're going to see a lot of it. I haven't talked about what these crystals do yet. These crystals, the Fleetings and Pulsings and Wellsprings, when you combine them with abilities that you meld, it gives those abilities specific traits to them. So the commands meld into stronger commands, and when you meld them on their own, they can just get a random ability like Magic Haste or Second Chance or Once More, etc. Normal RPG abilities. But when you have specific crystals like the Fleetings and Pulsings, they give you very specific abilities. That whole command, we were creating Kiraga and the Thundara, and our command sheet now has Thunder Surge, Fire Dash, Thundara, 2 Magneras, and 2 Curas, which isn't going to change a lot for a while. We pick up Isnua chest and the blackout chest. The blackout chest is the cell. The Isnua chest is to meld another command later on. As we just head over to Trinity Armor. Trinity Armor pretty much signifies the quote-unquote midpoint of the game, because this is where all of the characters come together in order to fight one big bad. This fight's pretty technical as Terra. What you want to do is start out with Fire Dash, Thunder, and a couple Magneras. That gets us into the Firestorm command style, and which we want because these command styles, which you get when you use certain types of abilities, give you specific finishers and attack. The Firestorm finisher does a lot of damage like that, which we want to use in order to damage all 3 body parts, because when you kill one, he separates into 2 more. And we want this guy to be close to 1 bar left when we kill that first body part. Here I'm just playing it safe, because sometimes Firestorm can whiff, making sure I hit him with it, and then the head's not going to be happy, and he's going to do some iframes and some twirling around. And again, we're going to try to get into Firestorm and do some more finishers to him. The command styles, there's no real reason to talk about them until right now, because we try to avoid them until right now. The thing about command styles is they can be very powerful, but they can also be incredibly slow because there's a long animation to get into them. And they can sometimes lock us into slow finishers, which we don't want to use. So we don't try to trigger them in specific circumstances, like with that fight. If you stand under the head, then the mega lasers can't hit you. It's kind of funny. D-Links pull us down, which is neat. They act like accelerated gravity for some reason. Kill this wave for some CP, which is the experience for the commands as they level up. But the command styles we generally try to avoid until now. Firestorm is the one useful one. We will be locked into situations where we have to use a couple more, as you see us buy and ignite. But for the most part, they're not too relevant to the run, except for that one fight. Most of the time, we just use abilities we want, and we just end up having them, and we lose a couple seconds to animations and whatever. So this menu, we equip the Ignite that we created earlier, and then the Ignite that we bought. We pick up a Fire chest in order to sell it, and we head over to the not Zigbar fight. Ignites are completely balanced in this game, and by completely balanced I mean completely broken. Ignite is a damage over time effect that deals a specific amount of damage. They don't stack, so that's why we only have 2 of them. We just deflect arrows back at him and wait for him to come down, and we start raining ignites on him. It's ignite, block, and it's a pattern like that for as much of the fight as we can do. How many times he attacks you in the air is random. When he's on the ground, he will always do this charge attack, where you use the Thunder Surge to stagger him out of it. Then when he's on the ground and does the circle attack, we jump in the air, and then mid-air use an Ignite in order to stagger him out of it. And we repeat that for the remainder of the fight. There's a lot of technical stuff going on in this game under the hood that's really hard to see just watching it, but you can at least see using Flame Salvo for safety. That can also knock him out of that attack, and this should kill. There's a lot of technical stuff going on that's kinda hard to explain because Birth by Sleep works in a lot of odd ways. But it all happens in such a fast and frantic manner that it's really easy to appreciate it watching it. Because you can move so quickly with the dashes, and you can deal damage so quickly if you know what you're doing with abilities like Ignite, and with specific combos to get into specific command styles at certain moments. This run is really all about using everything in our arsenal in order to be prepared for whatever stuff this game has. So we do a menu here. We equip the Magnera and the Thundara, and now we have Kingdom Cards, which is the best minigame in the game. It lasts 2 minutes. You have to complete it to beat the game, and this is where a lot of donation reading will be happening. So right in the midpoint of the run, we can just relax for a bit, read some donations, hang out. It's a bad Mario Kart ripoff, where the only strats we have are don't get hit by these tornadoes. If you press brake and then turn, you can just instantly vault in a different direction. And we use this shortcut every lap. I don't know why it's 5 laps, that seems excessive. The later alligator you're hearing is good voice clip RNG. That's a joke I have with my chat, because the voice clip you get is completely random, based on whatever character rubber bands you and passes you whenever. Later alligator is the best voice clip, in my opinion. So we joke that later alligator is a blessed run, and the other 2 voice clips you can get are not. The only scary thing about this minigame is you have to win to advance, and you can see if you just look at the minimap, the rubber banding on this minigame is absurd, to the point of you'll be half a lap ahead and then they'll just immediately jump behind you. Which means when you get to the last lap, if you hit one of these tornadoes, you're going to lose the race. Which means you have to do this over again, which is a 2-minute time loss, and you don't want that. But it's pretty easy, simple. It's not that hard to avoid. We just hug corners, use a shortcut. Assuming you don't get distracted while driving, it's not a big deal. And we should finish right around the 2-minute mark. And move on with our day. The one interesting thing here is that after this, 1 cutscene is going to play. Depending on how your file is set up going in, up to 3 cutscenes can play there. But if you have 1 completed file of a character that you are not currently playing as, 2 cutscenes do not play there. I have no clue why. It's a very weird thing. So this fight we're going to use Magnet Thunders with a twist. When you jump up in the air and hit them before you use the Magnet Thunders, for whatever reason, your commands get more levels. I think it's based on hit count. I don't really know. This game is weird in how it works sometimes. But the reason we're getting this extra experience for the commands is because A, we want the Kyoras to level up by the start of Neverland, and B, we want the Flame Salvo, which is our shot lock, to be level 4 before the next boss fight. If it's not level 4, then you're in a lot of trouble for that boss fight, as we use Fire Dash for some movement, get a Fire Strike, and head to the tournament. Yeah, you will see why we want our shot lock to be level 4 soon. We've only really used our shot lock once at this point, and that was in the Bragg boss fight. We're stuck in this tournament now. It's 10 rounds. We're using Magnet Thunders. You could easily read some donations here. The one thing we're looking for is we want items to drop. We don't want simp items like the pulsings and fleetings. We want actual commands like Curas and Thundaras and Strike Raids and all of that stuff so that we can sell it later. Because, again, the money route in this game is kind of precise. So you want at least one big command you can sell, like a Thundara or a Cura, or a lot of small commands. Otherwise, you're going to lose like 15 seconds picking up a backup in Neverland. Which isn't a big deal, but you'd rather not. See, this particular run, I got a Cura and a Thundara, so it's not a big deal. If you're missing any drops like Pulsings or Fleetings or Wellsprings, you also look for that here. Sometimes you can get those a lot of the time. There's not a lot to say until the 10th round. The 10th round is a bunch of jellyfish, and the jellyfish are the worst enemies in this game. Because these jellyfish can aggro immediately and kill you before you can respond. And if they do that, then you're stuck back to round 1. It's a 2-minute time loss, you have to do it all again. It's the most infuriating thing in the game. There are safety strats, which I will have to use for a marathon setting in order for that to not happen. So Zac is one of the most technical fights in the game. So we start out with Ignite Shotlock, and then Ignite Shotlock. How fast our Shotlock is filling up is a result of level 4. That's why we needed it to level up. So then we use Ignite and we wait for him to do this attack. Then 2 hits, Ignite, Fire Dash, and then 2 hits, Thunder. Sometimes he can jump away from our attacks, that's fine. We just get him back in the loop. And then we continue with 2 to 3 hits, and Ignites and or Thunders. Get to our Firestorm finisher, use it, and then initiate the same loop again. The main thing of this fight is he can kill you. It's a 1-hit kill. If he hits you with that, you can't escape dive lunge. And you're really just trying to make sure if he jumps out of the loop, you're prepared and you don't get caught with your pants down. Because you can dodge it if you're careful. This next phase is where this fight gets really interesting. Because he has a DM that will just instantly kill us, and it lasts a long time. By DM, I just mean an attack, his most powerful attack. And we don't like that, so we're going to Flame Salvo through it. And the Flame Salvo at level 4 gives us just enough iframes to get through this attack, and then turn around and start hitting him. And we start hitting him with a couple hits and ignites, and then go back into Flame Salvo when he starts doing that attack again. We're going to ideally keep him in this loop for one more round until we get the Gold Rush finisher. You get finishers if you're not in command styles just by doing attacks. Gold Rush is the one we currently have, and it sucks, but it's fine because it gets the attack off just fast enough so we can continue the loop. So we do the loop one more time. Then after this, we'll do 2 more attacks Ignite, 2 more attacks Ignite, and we're out of Shotlock, so we're going to try to kill him with Thunder and Gold Rush. And that's the Zac fight. It's a really cool technical fight just because of how the iframes work. It's very easy to die there. If you screw up any of the Shotlocks, you're just kinda left for dead. But it's a really satisfying strat to pull off, and it's a really fun strat to watch. This is the hardest fight in the game, and by hardest I mean easiest. These guys have killed me before, surprisingly, because jellyfish are just that bad and can aggro that quickly. But you're just running in a circle and attacking. The one weird thing is the bike controls in a strange manner here, so like it's hard to stay centered and hit a bunch of them at once. But it's ultimately not a big deal. So we're heading into the Deep Space Force fight. We're going to continue to do our favorite combos. But there's a little bit of a twist now because we only have one Thundara, so we're going to use our magnet. We're going to use our magnet thunders in very specific ways. We're going to use magnet thunder here, go into the D link, and use that once, so that this wave can die, and we can go back and use magnet thunder here. In this particular run, one guy got away. It's fine. You just circle around and kill him. The route change to only have one Thundara there made that particular force fight interesting. It's also the reason we use Aqua D-Link in Olympus Coliseum for the Magnet Thunders instead of just using our own. So, moving through deep space, there's a little bit of movement tech going on. The coolest bit of movement tech is coming up after this spike. One thing to mention, if we don't get the Wellspring drop, we have to get a chest before we do this movement tech in this room. But we're just going to go to the side here, cast Cinderella's D-Link, jump, lock on, Enchanted Step. It pulls us right to the top. I don't know why Enchanted Step works like that, but it just works like that in this game. We get a Fleeting Crystal because we want attack haste, and we continue moving forward to experiment. So Cinderella's D-Link just works like that for all three characters. I don't know why, but it's cool to watch. So, experiment is really challenging. Not because the strat's hard. The strat is to ignite and dodge and shot lock, and do that in a cycle. What's hard about it is being able to respond to whatever he does, because the shot lock can sometimes put us in sticky situations with just when he decides to do attacks. But this is what we want him to do, is we want him to do this whole AoE lightning thing. Because that's the easiest attack to dodge. You just trigger it and then run away. Once he gets to a certain amount of health, he's going to go into these guns, and the guns are going to shoot at us. We cannot deal enough damage to the guns to actually get them out. So we just run in a circle and laugh about how they can't hit us. They have about the same aim as Stormtroopers. It's possible to get what's called gunless and finish this fight without him going into guns, but it's completely RNG. When he comes out, he's going to do some stronger attacks. He can sometimes just go after us immediately. Not a lot you can do about that. But we're going to go back to Ignite and Flame and shot locks. In this particular run, I ran out of shot lock before I can finish him, so I'm just finishing him with a magnet. The specific attacks he does really doesn't matter. It just comes down to avoiding them the best that you can. And now we're heading into Neverland, which is the last Disney World in the run. The force fight at the start of Neverland is probably the scariest of all the force fights in the game, because it has a couple new enemies that cannot get caught in our Magnet Thunder combos. So we're going to start out with what we've been doing with the Magnet Thunders, but again do it in a bit of a technical way, because we want to use this magnet to drag these totem poles that are about to spawn towards us, then go into Aqua's D-Link, get her finisher, and use a Mind Square to kill half of this wave, spawn the next wave, and then use Aqua's finisher to kill most of the next wave. Now we only have this bird left. Once the bird is taken care of, a wave of 3 more of those gorillas that can't get caught in magnet will spawn. So we just use magnet, Thunder, Mind Square, and his finisher. The Magnet Thunder kills those weak green unversed that are around us, and the Mind Square just does some extra damage. Then we just use Ignite and a combination of whatever abilities we have left to get through. Again, that fight can be kinda scary, depending on how they decide to act. That Rock Slam attack you saw can instantly kill you. It's exactly what you do not want to see, but there are ways to try to get around it. So you go to the Moogle, all of the extra commands we've got that we were hoping we'd get for selling off till we get about 3,000 money, including our Ignites. We're going to buy 4 Thunder Surges and a block. Thunder Surge is probably the best ability in the game. I'll get to that in a second. But first we have some melding to do. We're going to meld our Fire Dash with a Thundara to get another Thunder Surge, and that gives us Leaf Bracer. The Curas with a Pulsing gives us Second Chance, and then the Magneras with the Wellspring give us once more, and the Esnua and the block we just bought gets us Renewal Block. Renewal Block just heals us after we block something. The Magnet we get only for the once more because it's an ability we need. Sonic Impact is just a movement ability we equipped. Yeah, Wake allows us to do a second dodge if we want. It's kinda slow and kinda cumbersome. We don't want to do it often, but it helps for movement in this world, as you just saw there. And the Thunder Surge is probably the best ability in the game, as I was saying, because A, it's very quick. It's a very quick command. It just lashes out at an enemy immediately. It doesn't last very long. B, it gives you iframes throughout the entirety of its duration, so when you use a Thunder Surge, you are completely invincible. And C, Thunder Surge can hit an enemy more than once, based on just how the hitbox works and how the Thunder Surge connects. So we're using it for the rest of the fights, including Peter Pan, the true villain of this video game. He's clearly the one in charge of everything up to this point. And we just spam Thunder Surges the best we can. Whenever he starts to fly away, we shot lock to bring him back down. And we're really just trying to get this. In an ideal fight, he'll only fly away from you once. He fly away twice there, but it's not a big deal. The more attack haste you have, the smoother that fight goes. The smoother a lot of pretty much every fight from here on out goes. But first we have Jellygeddon to get through. It's just an Armageddon of jellyfish. This fight's actually a lot of fun, because jellyfish have basically no health, meaning they die from one magnet, so we can just use magnet and watch them all fall apart. It's very amusing to see and hear a bunch of these guys just explode, especially after seeing them kill so many runs, based on being just ultra aggressive. Very satisfying fight. But Neverland's the calm before the storm. What's coming up is the final boss rush, where we have to fight Master Ericus, Vanitas with Xehanort's help, Xehanort, and then Terranort. This final boss rush is the reason that this category is not run very often, and it's the reason that this category has not been run at a marathon before. Because up until a lot of rerouting recently, they were just not consistent in any way. They are a lot more consistent now. They can still kill you if they so choose, and it's kind of obnoxious, but the strats we currently have are very effective, especially if you play it safe like you do in a marathon setting. So first we have Master Ericus. which is probably the most interesting dynamic. We're going to lock him into a bit of a stun lock with our Thunder Surges, where Master Ericus will retaliate our Thunder Surges just randomly whenever he feels like it. And when he retaliates, he does an attack right after the majority of the time. In which case we block, and since we have Renewal Block, we heal. And then after doing that, we hit him with more Thunder Surges, and we repeat that cycle. It's a scary looking fight because you're at 1 HP constantly, but the Renewal Block will always cure you, and if he decides to be mean and doesn't attack immediately after his retaliation, which he can choose to do, you do have a Curaga to save you. You'll notice right there I had 2 HP instead of 1, which meant I knew Second Chance and once more would save me, so I could continue spamming surges knowing that I wouldn't die. And I'll do it again here to finish off the fight. That's basically an ideal fight where he always retaliates immediately, and he doesn't attack like right after the retaliation. If he doesn't, which he can choose not to, then the fight can get a bit hairy. That's when the deaths come in. Just because you get in a game of chicken where you're waiting to see what he does next, and if you use your cure and he catches you without that and doesn't attack, then you can run into a lot of trouble where you're waiting for him to do something. And if he does something like one of his really strong, really long abilities, then you could just be dead. These tornadoes give us really big looking unversed, big and scary. We don't want to deal with it, so we just run between them. You run close to one, it starts chasing after you. You run close to another, it starts chasing after you, and the other one stops. So you just run close to all of them, and none of them can catch you. When this game was originally released on the PS4, they were broken, and just on the Japanese version specifically, they were just really, really fast, and you couldn't avoid them, and it was funny to watch, but it's been patched. So, Vanitas/Xehanort. This fight's very trolly, but it also has a very cool strat with Peter Pan. Where we go into Peter Pan's D-Link, we're doing air attacks to try to get into his finisher as quickly as possible. This is why this fight's scary, because Vanitas isn't a big deal. Xehanort, on the other hand, can just teleport over and attack you if he wants. And since we're in Peter Pan's D-Link, we don't have access to our cure. The only means of cure we have is a neural block. And just watch the damage Peter Pan does. Level 1 breaks that ability because it amplifies each individual hit by a lot, and Peter Pan does like 1,000 hits at once. So we can just melt through Vanitas' health. The problem is getting there. But once you have the finisher, you can shot block and be fine. Xehanort on his own is not as big a deal. We have 5 Thunder Surges. We like Thunder Surges. We use them, do a hit or two to get our Thunderbolt finisher, use that, and then repeat. And ideally, we can do that till the end of the fight. He can run away and be a bit of a troll if he wants, and I believe he does in this clip. But this is where attack hastes come into play. If you have at least 2 of them, then you're going to get this the vast majority of the time. If you only have 1, he has a higher chance of breaking out and being a pain. But for the most part, this fight's not that bad. The 2 preceding it are much worse, and the one after it is the worst of all. Welcome to Terranort. This man is responsible for this category not being ran by a lot of runners, and it's responsible for more dead runs than I can count. So, this guy basically has the abilities that Terra has, because because Xehanort took over Terra's body. And what we're trying to do is use Thunder Surges at very specific times. We want him to do the shot locks so we can deflect them back, and we want him to do that attack right there, the R's thing. Because when he does the R's, we can use Thunder Surge at specific times to get in while invincible, and then get in while invincible, get out, and then get in again. That's the highest damage output we have. When he does this attack, the timing's a bit different, but the result's the same. We really want him to be spamming this and the R's attack as much as possible. Shot locks are good because they replenish our health with renewal block, and they also do damage to him, both of which are nice. And when he gets to that health, he will always do this meteor. He is programmed to do this meteor at least once. The meteors can come out from the ground beneath you and deal damage that way. They come at you and can be a major pain, but you can heal off them with renewal block, which is nice. The annoying thing is this guy can cure. When I said he has all of Terra's abilities, he also has that. He only cures 3 times per fight. I have not seen him do more. I've heard stories about him doing more. I've never seen it. But the fight is really just dodging and ducking and weaving and surviving. It's all about survival. That's all we care about in this fight. We just won. Ideally, he gives us a good pattern with his attacks, and we can kill him kinda quickly. It's a 3-minute fight on average, and it's just a long endurance fight of us trying to duck and weave and stay alive. And time is when his health bar expires, and you've got through the toughest that Kingdom Hearts has to offer in terms of story bosses on high difficulties. So thank you so much for your time and consideration. It means the world to me to be able to show this run off, even if only in a YouTube video, and enjoy my reaction of getting this PB. Oh my god, it happened. Oh my god. Oh, I'm shaking, dude. I am actually shaking, oh my god. We did it, guys. We did it.